Hello and welcome to another TP's Diary video. This is my Jaguar XJS 4-litre celebration. This is a 1995 car, and it's got a ZF 4 HP 22 automatic gearbox in it. Today we're going to service that gearbox, and I don't know if any of you have done this before or serviced automatic gearboxes before, but not all of them have a drain plug like this one, so sometimes you have to actually use a vacuum fluid extractor like this one in order to suck out that transmission fluid. Otherwise, when you take the sump off, you make a massive mess. So let's get our overalls on, we'll climb underneath and we'll start this service. Right, so the first job, well, there's actually two jobs I'm going to do here. So firstly, we're going to remove the sump from the gearbox. Here's the drain plug here. I've actually jacked the front of the car up a little bit just to try and make sure the oil drains to the back of the gearbox. The other job is we're going to remove this engine mount and redo the bushes in that. I've now got those. But we'll do that after the gearbox, I think, because what I want to do is I want to actually get the beam jack underneath the gearbox to support it while I try and remove the mount. So let's drain the oil out of this one now. This oil should be a sort of a lovely sort of pinky colour. This is like a burnt colour, so definitely in need of a change. Just a bit of advice. So if you're ever doing this job, it's always good to collect the oil, and then what you can do is you can then measure how much oil came out, and it gives you a bit of an idea how much oil you've got to put back in. Obviously, you do lose a bit when you take the sump and things off. But yeah, it just it makes it a bit more of an exact science, I suppose. So we'll just let that drain out, and then we'll start the process of getting the sump off. Okay, so that's them all loosened off. I've just got to undo this big nut here. Okay, so let's get the rest of this out now. Got my wrench to help me. Okay. There we go. What we can see here now is this is the oil filter. So we've got a few little screws to take out now, and then we can swap the filter around, which is the whole reason why we had to take the sump off, was to get to this. This transmission fluid that is coming out of this absolutely stinks. So there's no doubt about it. It was definitely time for a change. Oh, you fucker. Righto, so we're in the workshop now. Remove the old gasket. I don't think this, I mean, look at the colour of that. This hasn't been changed for quite a while. And if you look in here, there's a couple of magnets. Yeah, these magnets are basically in there to catch any sort of bits of metal that are floating around in the gearbox. This one, there is a bit on it. I don't think this has ever been changed, so I'm glad I'm doing it. I can't get over how brown this is, and incidentally, this oil that comes out, or any oil for that matter, is highly toxic. Whatever you do, do not put it down the drain. You can just go and take it to your local tip They've normally got a big tank where you can empty the oil in and then throw the canisters away. So, and then the oil goes off, and I believe it all just gets recycled. So this is just ordinary unleaded petrol that I'm using. And just a paintbrush, and you can clean up all your parts. Okay, so so that's all the parts now all cleaned up, much better, especially these little magnets, you know. So so yes, so I have now got a new filter. I've also got a new gasket here. I'm glad I did this because the oil that came out of this was very dark and very sort of, there was a lot of sludge in the bottom. So again, I don't think this has been changed. The gasket, the old gasket, is very hard. I mean, it's still a little bit pliable, but it's starting to perish. So so that would have failed at some point. So so yeah, so I'm now ready to put everything back together. Okay, so I've got everything cleaned up now. So let's start getting it all back together. So first thing I need to do is get the filter back on. Okay, so that was a bit of a rigmarole. So sometimes you have this problem with some of the aftermarket parts. So so yes, the oil filter I had was not the right one, so I had to get a new one of those. The gasket, it's fine, it works, but the issue is that it was just a bit slightly smaller, or it shrunk after it'd been molded, and trying to get it on there was just a little tricky, but it's on there now. So let's get these bolts just done up. Next thing we got to do, I'm quite relieved that that's done. That was proving to be a bit of a pain. Is right. Next thing we got to do is just do the dipstick up. Okay, that's that. Yeah, so the last thing we have to do is now fill it up with oil. But before I do that, I'm going to take this engine mount off and just sort out the bushing in that, because as you can see, it's gone. So I've got all those parts now. So let's get on and get that done. Basically, this big bracket has to come off. There's 4 bolts here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let the front of the car down because I don't need that anymore. I'm going to bring the beam jack along and just support the back of the engine and transmission. And then we can just, I've got the motorbike jack with an axle stand on it. So I'll bring that up and put it underneath here. Then we'll take these bolts out, and then hopefully when we'll just lower it down a bit, the spring won't suddenly go bing and everything fly everywhere. I think I know. Okay, so theoretically, let's take these bolts out now. I've already just loosened them off a little bit. Okay, that's the 4 bolts undone. So if I just, what happens now? Okay, that is the mount off. Whoop. Righto, let's get it into the workshop and see what it's all about. So we got the mount on the bench here now. It looks in a bit of a sorry old state. Let's try and get it apart. I think there is another spring in there. So what I'm going to do, I've got to take these 3 bolts out. But before I do that, I'm just going to actually put something. I've got a G-clamp to hold it. Actually, why don't I just clamp it to the? Well, I can't because I can't get to that bolt, but I could get to those ones. So let's take you out. Okay, got you out of that. Is this going to work? There's only one way to find out. Now, slowly, without everything pinging off, let these out. Okay, that worked. Wow. Seen better days. Actually, the mount itself it's okay. It's not in bad condition. It's covered in oil. So, I mean, there's a bit of corrosion there. We'll clean that up. I mean, that's completely had it. And then this, sort of screw in it there. So if I take that screw out, I haven't actually looked at the manual. So I should have maybe had a look before I did this. Well, there's no way I'm getting that out. Do I want to go to the effort of getting that out? There's nothing in there. Else that is, I don't really know. So I'm just going to get the grinder and I'm going to cut a slot in this bolt head. That's just a 1mm thick grinding disc. Hopefully, get it out. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Perfect. We'll be using that again. Give that a bit of a tap. There we go. So, well, there's some weight in there. Okay, so now that's how you get that out. Okay, so all the parts are clean now. Yeah, so I did the sort of usual, cleaned them all off with petrol, and then put them in the shot blaster. So yeah, my shot blaster's okay. It's not that powerful, so doing a job like this it takes quite a long time. So this is taking me quite a few hours to do. But anyway, I think the parts are all very nice now. So I'm just going to give them a coat of paint. Now I've got this paint, which I haven't tried before, which is an all-in-one primer and top coat. So I'm just going to try this and get some. Certainly, it's getting on in the day now. So just before I pack up for the day, I want to get at least one coat on these parts, and then in the morning I can or a bit later I can come out and give another coat on the other side. So then tomorrow we'll be ready to assemble. So let's get some paint on. a bit of ventilation wouldn't go amiss in this this factory, in this workshop. So that's the first coat on the on all the parts. So I just need to let that dry, and then I can turn them over, give them another coat, and then they're ready to go back together. So all the parts now have been drying overnight, and yeah, I'm quite happy with the way they turned out. That paint seemed to be quite good. So let's get all these parts assembled now, and get this mount back in the car so we can finish off this gearbox service. Decided to use new bolts everywhere. Okay, so that bit drops in there like that. Then that bit drops in there like that. And that goes on like that. So, and then that whole assembly goes in like so. Okay, so if I put that up like that, that hopefully be enough. Let's see. There we go. Okay, turn it off. Let's have a look. Yep, that seems to be all going up properly. There you go. So that's the engine mount, the gearbox mount, all done, rebuilt, and that's how you rebuild it. So, right, let's get this mount back in. Okay, so let's get these. So I'm happy with that. Let's drop the car down now, fill the gearbox up with oil, and we'll run it through the gears, make sure that all works. Right, so next step is we need to fill up the transmission with some transmission fluid. What's important, I'm using a ATF 4000, but it needs to be compliant with, I think they said it was Dextron 3 high grade transmission fluid. Anyway, I've got some fluid here, and as you remember, well, look at that. That is the colour that it should be, a lovely sort of like pinky colour. If you remember, we drained out of it just over 3 litres. So let's get some of that in now. And then once we've got it in, we'll then just run it through the gears. I want to check, make sure it's not right. That's 1 litre. That's 2 litres. I remember many years ago my father having a a Jaguar XJ6. To be honest, I think it was a Series 2. I'm not entirely sure. In like a mustard colour. Anyway, he had filled up the transmission with new fluid. We took it round the block and bumped into came across my mother on the road home. She was just on the pavement. And the car was smoking like you wouldn't believe. I mean, literally smoke coming out everywhere. And my father went round the window down and said to my mother, "God, it's smoking like it's on fire." Anyway, at which point he popped the bonnet and flames came out from underneath the bonnet. Well, of course, I was in a total panic. And what had happened was some of the transmission fluid had sort of come out and gone onto the exhaust manifold and caught fire. I wouldn't recommend it. He was so sort of cool about it. He literally just opened the bonnet, leant across and blew the flames out. I thought so that was it. I thought the car was a goner. So yeah, it's sort of funny how you have these childhood memories of these things that happen, or these sort of like disasters, I suppose. Anyway, that's 3 litres. Let's get a fraction more. Okay, so that is just over 3 litres now in the gearbox. We're just going to leave that to sit for a little while, make sure that all drains through. So that's all the oil in. So the next stage is we're going to run it up to temperature, get the engine all nice and warm, and then just make sure it's going in and out of gears, and then recheck the levels. So, but apart from that, this service on the engine and gearbox now should be complete. Look at that. A lot better. So I'm very happy now that we've found that engine, that gearbox mount. So okay, let's get in the car now and fire it up. Just make sure it's going in and out of gears, and then we can run it all up and just do the final checks. So we're in the car now. Let's fire it up, and we'll just run it up and down through the gears, make sure all the gears are working fine. Okay, so my foot on the brake, reverse, yeah, neutral, yeah, drive, yeah, third, yeah, second, second, yep. Okay, so I'm going to leave that video there. Yeah, so I suppose we're leaving you on a bit of a high. Everything seems to be working, which is always a bonus. So next week I am going to be going through flushing the brake system and changing the diff oil. So yes, if you want to see how I do that, then tune in to next week. But in the meantime, I hope you found that informative. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.